Good morning, beautiful souls. It's Tim Wild here, up in the woods. Favourite place at the moment, and I'm getting my body moving. I had the Soul Reclamation Pathway Part 2 with David Esri last night. If any of you were joined there, if any of you were on the call, it was fantastic. Sorry about the slight tech issues, I don't know what I pressed, but thankfully we all got it back again. And tomorrow I will be speaking live in person at the Soul Ascension Workshop, so this is my movement period in between. Keep the energies flowing, allowing myself to ground out in nature, you know the drill. I want to talk a little bit this morning about something which I know I've spoken about before, and I should imagine it won't be the last time that I cover it as well. But with the quantity of people currently experiencing the situations, be they similar or be they kind of like moulded into different formats, I thought it'd be worth mentioning because there's a lot of new ears on the channel, and it's intricate stuff. Morning. It's a good way to be spending the morning, that is, out on a horse. So first and foremost, tests and initiations. I mean, this is something that used to be a bit of a grey area. Not many of us knew about it or really kind of gave it any attention initially, but it's become quite fashionable to talk about our tests, the things that we go through. And the reason for that is because so many of us are actually going through them. It's become common knowledge that on the spiritual pathway we are tested. We go through gates of initiation. Some of them are minor and some of them are life-changing. They're colossal. They are the tower that collapses, leaving us with vestiges of our previous existence and a clean new template. One of the ones that keeps on cropping up I'll cover in a bit, but the reason why tests, initiations are kind of so commonplace, we know about them now, is because of the shifting in energy. If we are going to align ourselves with higher frequencies, if we are going to live as beings of a higher consciousness in heart-centeredness, we have to be pressure tested upon the things that we wish to be, what we wish to evolve to. These angelic frequencies, the heart-centeredness, the unity, the oneness, the ability to speak our truth with love, the higher relationships, the expressing ourselves lovingly at all times. I mean, the list is endless. It goes on and on. But one of the most challenging, and the thing that seems to really, really put people on the spot, makes us question everything, even right down to whether we're actually doing the right thing or not, is something that I call going dark. And if you followed me before, if you've heard my live talks, if you heard me speak in workshops, it's one of my favourites because I believe it's one of the toughest. We are sociable creatures by nature. We rely upon one another if we can. We are continually expressing ourselves, receiving information. We build our personalities, our personas, who we are, based upon the opinions on others in many cases. And this all begins from childhood, from our primary socialization. So what happens when all that is taken away? What happens when all of a sudden all of the feedback, all of the confirmation, all the positivity or maybe the negativity is taken away and we're left standing in a dark room? There's 2 initiations tied in with one particular one on this front. So there's going dark, okay? Lots of people are experiencing this at the moment because there's a big wave of higher frequency awakening occurring. Going dark is when your guides, your angels, all of the higher beings that support you step back, and they do so because they consider you to have reached a level where you should be responsible for yourself. It's a tough one because quite often when we initially wake up, we are deluged with attention from the higher realms. It's wonderful. Can feel our angels, the unicorns are present, the dragons, the higher beings of light. If we want information, it's confirmed by the universe, and in many cases they're just overjoyed to have us back on board again after many years in the 3rd dimension, not seeing, not believing, not having any kind of connection, any worthwhile connection whatsoever. So now when we face these periods of going dark, they can become very distressing. And the first question that we ask ourselves is, what have we done wrong? What have I done? What have I done to be abandoned? Am I a bad light worker? Have I said something that's upset my guides? Have I not been working hard enough? And that couldn't be further from the truth. In many cases, we've been working too hard, striving and pushing, calling for answers. And when we finally get those answers, wham, we don't like what we receive. So, it's this particular format of test, going dark, it's the toughest in my book. It really is, more than anything else. Morning. And it literally feels as if you are abandoned in a darkened room, maybe sat on a chair, maybe standing, maybe sitting on the floor. And the thing that kind of maybe rubs the salt on the wound a little bit is that you can see or sense that you are not alone. Almost as if everybody's standing around watching you struggle. And that is the case. If you want to know whether that's what they're doing, yes they are. But they're not doing it out of malice or spite, they're doing it out of love. Because ultimately, you need to be on the case, you need to be efficient, you need to be self-motivated, receiving your own answers. Everything that you need comes from within you. And that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for you to have that epiphany, that moment where you say, do you know what? I can do it. I can do this on my own. And at that point, when you start sourcing your own wisdom, when that information comes through, it all comes back again. But you're relying on yourself rather than anybody else. So the second aspect of that is what we would regard or feel as the sense of abandonment. Quite often there's a bit of a brutal sorting that occurs when we wake up, when we change our frequency, because those that were around us continuously previously, friends, family, spouses, colleagues, when we change our frequency, when we step up, when we follow our pathway, this sends out a wave of energy which makes us look, sound, ultimately feel completely different to the way that we did previously. And that can be devastating for our previous setups, our previous relationships. So all of a sudden, the people that we had around us all of our lives, they disappear. And if we are very attached to these relationships, these scenarios, the process can be quite jarring, because obviously we have feelings. We don't wish to be alone. We don't wish to have people that we love and feel close to step back, sometimes quite brutally, saying, I don't understand you anymore, you don't sound the same, you don't look the same, you don't talk my language. But that's part of the game, because ultimately, if we've chosen to step up, if we've chosen to do this, in many cases the people that were there previously, if they're not ready to step onto the pathway, they will fall away. Now, the interesting part about it, and I'm seeing this a lot as well, is it's not necessarily permanent, okay? So if you feel like you're losing friends and family, colleagues, people around you, 10 to the dozen, sometimes it's difficult to look at it from a higher perspective, because you're hurting and you're feeling as if that, you know, you don't deserve this. Just know that at some point they are going to wake up themselves, and it might be even a few years down the line, but they will come and say, do you know what, you were right. And although we're not kind of score counting and going, well, I told you so, but we did. And this period of aloneness, it's separate to going dark, but it's also part of it. Again, it persists for as long as we resist it. That is the case with pretty much everything that we engage with. It will persist as long as we resist. That's the nature of the game. So how do you cope with being alone? Feeling like you have no support network, no friends or family, people that you can talk to. Your guys have stepped back. And this, to me, it's the toughest one. And it can even happen when you're still surrounded by people, because you might wake up and feel completely different about the world. Everything's changed. You've changed, your perception's changed, how you speak's changed, how you receive information has changed, but nobody else around you speaks your language. It might not necessarily be causing conflict, but you still feel alone. That's also difficult to navigate. Quite simply, because as communicative beings who like to speak, who like to express what we see and feel, if we haven't got the people around us to do that, again, it's very frustrating. And the world feels very alien to a lot of people at the moment. You might be listening to this and going, I just can't face that world out there at the moment. Well, that's okay. It's all right to feel like that, because you are changing. You are going through the metamorphosis. It's not that there is anything wrong with you. It's not that you are unfit to be on this world. It just simply means you are finding out who you truly are. And yes, at the other end of that, it might well be that you need to make changes. There are different places to go to. There are different people to communicate with and be friends with. Maybe form partnerships with. It's all part of the process. We are changing. There is so much change going on this planet at the moment. We need to be, I said last night at the beginning of the workshop, spiritual contortionists, to have the ability to bend and mould ourselves into shapes that we previously thought were impossible. And again, this won't last forever, but it's something we need to be able to do. And it doesn't mean that you have to bend and mould yourself to suit other people or their needs or their wants or their expectations. It means you have got to be adaptable to the energies that are being presented, to roll with the initiations, to be able to recognise them when they occur, regardless of how tough they are, and actually become attuned to yourself more than you ever have done before previously. And it's my understanding that we're now heading towards eclipse season. You know, the predicted days of darkness. I think we've heard that one before, haven't we? Changes will occur, timelines will shift, but it's very important that we do not allow fear to be seeded into our expectations, because it's collective fear that forms the events of the worlds around us. I say worlds as plural because there are multiple realities to choose from in any given moment, all depending on what our thoughts are. So that, my lovelies, is where I'm going to end today. The initiations of being alone, changing, feeling strange upon this world, it won't last forever. It really won't. Very soon you will come out the other side of it. You will find your tribe, beings like you. So at this moment in time, it's time to step back to find out who you truly are, what the vibration is that you wish to hold, who you wish to be. And if you don't know that, that doesn't matter either, because soon enough you will find out. So see you all tomorrow if you're coming along to the Soul Ascension Workshop. It's going to be a grand day. Sending you all so much love, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.